Three things you need to qualify for workers' comp benefits in New York State. If you've been injured on the job in New York State, what are the three elements that you need in order to qualify for benefits? Around here, we use the acronym ANCR, which stands for Accident, Notice, and Causal Relationship. In this video, we're going to talk about what each of these mean and how you know whether or not you qualify for benefits, so stay tuned. My name is Rex Sikofsky, and I became a New York workers' compensation attorney 17 years ago after getting injured on the job. If you're looking for a lawyer to help you with your claim for New York State workers' compensation benefits, please give me a call at 212-406-8989 to schedule a free consultation. We're also able to assist with personal injury matters, Social Security disability, and labor and employment issues. The first element needed to qualify for a workers' compensation claim is what's known as accident. Were you injured while working? Then you were probably involved in an accident. An accident could be a major event, falling down a flight of stairs, getting into a car accident, or falling off a ladder or scaffolding. An accident can also come from a relatively minor event. Lifting and feeling a pop or a crack somewhere in your body, or a slip, a trip, or a stumble can all be considered accidents. Accidents can also be common occurrences like a health aide lifting a patient, or something embarrassing like falling out of your desk chair. Don't worry, we're not going to make fun of you. We do embarrassing things too. Now, some people might say that they did not have an accident on the job, but they did become injured or disabled while working. In this circumstance, you might have suffered what's known as a repetitive stress or an occupational disability. These are cases like carpal or cubital tunnel syndrome or hearing loss. There are many other types of repetitive stress or occupational claims. These types of claims do qualify for benefits. One thing to consider though, in order to qualify for New York State workers' compensation benefits, you must have been injured while working what's known as a covered employment. Generally speaking, all jobs in New York State are covered employments, but some specifically are not. NYPD police officers, New York City public school teachers are specifically not covered. They have their own separate system. Other employees of the NYPD and New York City public schools are covered, but specifically teachers and police officers are not covered. Domestic workers who work less than 40 hours per week are another group of employees who are not covered. But if you're unsure whether or not you work in a covered employment and you're entitled to workers' comp benefits, please give us a call. We can help. Second element needed to qualify for workers' comp benefits in New York State is what's known as notice. Under the law, you are required to give your employer or supervisor written notice of your accident within 30 days. The requirement to provide written notice can be excused if your employer has actual notice of your accident. If you are providing your employer with written notice of an accident, it should be done within 30 days of the accident, and it must include your name, address, the date and time of the accident, where the accident occurred, and a description of what happened. You should also include a statement of the injuries that you sustained and your signature and the date. However, in my experience and in most scenarios, the employer has received actual notice of an accident. So what is actual notice? Actual notice is when the events, facts, or circumstances surrounding the accident provide notice to your employer. For instance, they might have seen the accident happen. They might have heard a crash from the next room and came running in. Actual notice can also include something like a phone call from the police or a coworker notifying your supervisor that you did have an accident and you're on your way to the hospital. It can also include text messages from the injured worker, a coworker, or a family member after the accident. What about occupational disease or repetitive stress claims that we discussed earlier? Even though you might not have suffered a traumatic accident, you are still required to give notice within 30 days. In these cases, the 30-day rule is a little tricky because you don't have a specific accident date. But according to the law, the person has 30 days from the day they first knew or should have known that their injury or disability was work-related. Typically, this is the day they first saw their doctor and got a diagnosis of a work-related disability. The third element needed to qualify for workers' comp benefits in New York is causal relationship. This is a medical explanation from your doctor indicating that the accident was the cause of the diagnosed injury or disability. So those are the three elements needed to qualify for workers' compensation benefits in New York State. If you were recently injured or diagnosed with an occupational or repetitive stress claim, does your injury satisfy all three requirements? Leave a comment below and let me know. And if this is your first time on my channel, welcome. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications for the most up-to-date videos on workers' compensation law and related topics. Click here to watch the next video, and I'll see you there.